um, the live stream. Hold on a second. Let's get the light in here. I think that's bright enough. Yeah. Yeah, I've got an event today in London at 1 o'clock, which I'm looking forward to. So I've got some time. I thought I'd come on here and do a live stream and talk about managing distress, discomfort, anxiety, uncomfortable emotions, feelings, because these are the things that at some point all my clients are challenged by, and myself included. This is a challenge for me as well. I mean, everybody, not just people who have anxiety or OCD or struggle with an anxiety disorder, struggle with this problem. I mean, people that have got anxiety, who have a background of anxiety, including myself and many of my clients, people in this community, we probably struggle a little bit more because of the sensitivity towards, negative thoughts, intrusive thoughts, and worrying a lot and overthinking and, dealing with emotions, etc. But in general, everybody does, nobody particularly likes feeling uncomfortable or feeling, what we perceive as bad feelings, uncomfortable feelings. But what I've learned, throughout 12 years of mentoring other people and through 40 years of my own life experience, that the more you face these feelings, or the more you build more of a stronger tolerance to these feelings, the stronger you get. And over time, feelings always go away anyway. Eventually a negative feeling goes, and usually, a good feeling will come. But I'm learning probably more about this now, being that I'm getting therapy myself for OCD, and I'm mentoring other people, in business, with confidence, with many things. So I'm getting to learn from both sides, from teaching others and also getting therapy myself for some of my own OCD, anxiety, and intrusive thoughts. So it's a challenging one, in that, a lot of our society, a lot of the things that have been built up in regards to happiness are designed around avoiding discomfort, avoiding anxiety, avoiding feeling negative. But when you get to a certain age in life, or a certain point, you realize that's not going to work all the time. Different schools for different tools for different schools. Good morning, all of you. I'll get to your questions. Good to see you all on the stream. So what I'm saying is, if I can explain it in two parts. Of course, all of us, myself included, would rather not feel anxiety or, have negative thoughts or have scary emotions or uncomfortable feelings. Let's say, for example, when you're in love, in a relationship, especially at the start, both people generally experience really good emotions, very strong, like positive, loving, kind of all like serotonin, or it's all that sort of positive emotions, and we're all kind of addicted to those emotions. But if you have, which is a horrible thing, but we all go for it. If you have a breakup, the emotions are awful. They completely flip on their head, and they are painful, frightening, all different things people can experience after a breakup. Shame, guilt, anger, frustration, not feeling good enough, fear, loneliness, abandonment, anxiety, even, I guess, intrusive thoughts, negative thoughts. So in that state, trying to avoid your emotions forever is not going to work. You've actually got to do the opposite. You've actually got to confront your difficult emotions to get beyond them and build a tolerance to difficult emotions, if that makes sense. So I wanted to explain that. Yeah, I'm not sure. Sometimes it happens on these streams. It happens a lot. It's kind of a universal thing where the internet things can freeze up. I always hope that it doesn't happen, but there's always a chance it can. So I just got to take that chance and hope for the best. If it doesn't happen, great. If it does, there's not much we can do about it other than keep moving forward. Yeah, a lot of people have that. I mean, I have that sometimes too. Something to work on where you struggle to stay alone. A lot of people do. You're not the only one. I'd say most of the population does struggle to be alone without instant gratification, because that's when we start to experience anxiety, negative thoughts, or as you said, sometimes even you might not feel negative, but you just can't relax on your own. You feel restless, lonely, and as you said, that's where the need for like food, drinks, sugar, things that can numb the pain. So yeah, all these things, what all of you are saying today, are all part and parcel of what I'm saying. So basically, I got sent a little sheet earlier, a few sessions ago, because I'm doing therapy at the moment myself. Maybe I'll speak about that in another video, right? A lot of the things that I've gone through last year, the death of a friend, the suicide of a friend, has obviously affected me and caused. I'm not sure if it's the cause, but it's triggered more severe OCD for me, more intrusive thoughts. So I've been getting therapy for that, which is why I always say to people on this channel, it doesn't matter who you are, it's always good to get help when you need it. Even teachers need help, therapists have therapists. A lot of personal trainers will also have a personal trainer, because you can't do everything on your own, right? But obviously there's a lot that you can learn on your own. So I like to break that belief. I was speaking to a friend about this yesterday. We were joking about it, right? And I understand where it comes from. It's not always true. The belief that, someone has to be perfect in order to help other people, and that's not true, because none of us are perfect. And my clients are still getting very good results, regardless of me going through my own struggles at the moment and being in therapy. It's actually probably benefiting them. And people have helped me that have had issues. I didn't really care, really. I just needed some help. So I wanted to sort of explain that. So anyway, when I'm doing my therapy, I get some homework, and one of the recent homework that I've kind of gone over again was called distress intolerance. And it's something that they get you to practice in OCD, pretty much all anxieties. And I realised, without sounding big-headed or anything, that the homework, not all of it obviously, because a lot of OCD I didn't understand, didn't even know that I had it, but some of the work that was taught, that I've been given from OCD, is a lot of the teaching that I've done throughout the years. A lot of it is, not all of it, but a lot of it is exposure therapy, and a lot of it is about changing your relationship to negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative beliefs, and building more of a tolerance to be able to. It's not about getting rid of, it's actually not about getting rid of intrusive thoughts, getting rid of bad feelings, getting rid of not feeling good. It's more about learning to handle feeling all those feelings, and to be able to outstrength them and get on with your life. And that has, I guess if the word is counterintuitive, might be the wrong word. I get words wrong sometimes, but people will understand what I'm getting at. The more you try and get rid of anxiety, the stronger it generally becomes, the more it bullies you. In most cases, not always, but in a lot of cases, especially when you're sitting down with your own mind, that sort of anxiety, the more you try and get rid of it, it gets stronger. But the less you try to get rid of it, and the more you accept it in a way where you don't like it, no one likes it particularly, depending on if some people can say, oh, I turn fear into excitement, and I've done that, but that's not all. You're not always going to feel that way. Generally, we don't like anxiety. It doesn't feel nice, which is why it causes all of us a lot of distress, especially when it's heightened. So fighting it and trying to force it out and getting angry with it and hating it and resenting it, it adds to it, makes it stronger. Whereas if you can accept that you don't like it, but stay steady and continue living your life, like getting up early today, doing the things that you value in your life, like spending time with your family, friends, going to the gym, creating content, or working, traveling, doing the things that some of the things that you love to do. Obviously, we've all got things in our life that we don't always want to do, but we have to do, like paying taxes, paying rent, bills, things like that. Cleaning up. There's certain things that we don't always feel like doing, but we have to do them, right? Otherwise, if we don't do them, then we're going to get more stressed out, and we're not going to have, look after ourselves and stuff and get by. Sometimes we don't feel like eating healthy and going to the supermarket, getting some food, coming home and cooking it, because we feel that will trigger us. We'd rather just get a takeaway. It's quicker, it's easier. So all these areas that I'm talking, they all connect on the same. It's really all about how to learn. It's basically, when you get down to it, which is, I like learning now. When you boil it down, whatever name we give it, even though there are different measures, of course, I'm learning that, right? So I don't want to offend anyone. And I'm someone who struggled with a lot of mental health throughout my journey and made a lot of progress, overcome it. Other things have come back. Now I'm dealing with OCD, which was something that I didn't really understand growing up. I had a very basic knowledge that a lot of people have, which is not fully true, that OCD, someone that constantly cleans, and that's not exactly OCD. That may be a part of it, but there's so many areas that are a lot worse. So basically it's about learning to manage fear better, learning to have more courage in life, because we've all got fear. And fear plays out, within different anxiety problems and anxiety disorders and triggers. So that is really the practice. Let me give you an example. So for example, today I've got an event today. There's apparently going to be 8 or 10 people, could be less. Now, years ago, I would have been debilitated with anxiety and fear before doing an event, meeting people. I was very, massive social anxiety and just scared scared in general. But because I've got a lot of experience and I've done events now on and off for 12 years, I'm not saying that I'm not going to feel some nerves today. I'm going to be a little bit nervous because I want the event to go well and I'm helping other people and I'm human. But the nerves are light, they're very manageable, because I built up a strong tolerance to doing events and doing public talks and mentoring and helping people and bringing people together and having a social event to help people, to build confidence of people and connect. So I have a lot of experience of doing it, and that has built tolerance over time. So to all of you, whatever you want to achieve or get better at, if you practice it and facing those emotions, you build tolerance, and tolerance is strength. David Goggins talks a lot about, he lives it. He's someone who's a great practitioner as well when he does all the things he does, especially the long marathon runs. So if you did a marathon run, you wouldn't hope and say, I don't want to feel tired. I don't want to feel bad emotions during that run, or I don't want to feel all the things that come with being challenged. That's not the right thing to ask for, although obviously everyone would if they could. You'd be like a superhero, where you could just run for miles and not feel any fatigue and not have to deal with your own mind, because all of you would know that if you've gone running, one of the hardest things is the physical fatigue, but also the mental battle with your own mind, because obviously our minds challenge all of us at times, depending on how we are at with our mental health, how we deal with it, how we can get more present. So you wouldn't hope that, because that's not going to work. It's not going to be realistic. But what you'd hope for, what you'd want to aim for, was to build the mental strength that David Goggins talks about, and he's built, and many others have, and I built some too. I've been running for 2 years. You'd hope to have built the strength where you're not going to be able to fully get rid of fatigue. You're not. And boredom on the run, or intrusive thoughts that can happen on the run. It happens to me, especially as an OCD sufferer, or negative thoughts, which happens to everybody or thinking about when is the run going to end, or certain problems in your life that you're dealing with, whatever those are, they can start to come up in your mind when you're running, and it can be quite disturbing and distracting depending on how you can handle it. So you would really want to get to a stage where you built up strength where you could handle all those things. You could go for a run and handle your OCD, or for people that don't have OCD, anxiety. And everyone's got a mind. So everyone's got, even a healthy level of anxiety. So over time, you get stronger and you're able to build that tolerance and go for a run and, and really get a lot out of it. Now, as I said, it happens when you don't expect it. You could go for a run and not experience any intrusive thoughts. You could not experience like a lot of mental torment or boredom, because you don't try to get into that state. It happens naturally because you're accepting of anxiety or bad emotions or negative thoughts, and because of enjoying the run and practicing the run and not forcing happiness to come upon you, if that makes sense. And that can happen on the run. I've experienced it loads of times, but it doesn't happen all the time. It happens, the more consistently you practice these things, the more it happens. So I guess some of your next question is, what is the actual practice to build confidence, tolerance, and strength? That's a good question. Well, I can break up into two practices, and maybe there's more, but two main ones now that have worked for me and that I teach in no order. The first one is taking action, is exposure. So for example, if you're anxious right now today and you're struggling with your emotions and you're getting a lot of bad emotions and shame and all different sorts of emotions, all these emotions, disgust, shame, embarrassment, or fear, loneliness, all these uncomfortable emotions, you're feeling those feelings. A way of dealing with those would be to say, what is it you would want to do today? And if you say, well, I'd like to go to the gym, but I don't think I can do it, then the practice would be, I'm not saying it's easy because it's not until you get more used to it, would be to go to the gym whilst you're feeling awful about yourself, and to exercise and just accept the feelings that you've got. And they might be there for the entire time, which I know is not nice. They may surpass, they may calm down, but that's not, again, that your concern, our concern is not really about for right now, whether the feelings come or go, even though you want them to go, and I want them to go for all of us, but it's more about what you can do under the circumstances within those feelings and those stresses and those anxieties and intrusive thoughts, or whatever anxiety problem you're dealing with. Or for those people that don't have an anxiety problem, but you're still human, you're still gonna have some anxiety, you're still gonna have your own mind to attend to. So that is the practice. That's the first step, is to take action. The second one is to be able to sit with it, which at some point you have to do, because at some point we've got to stop, right? You're going to go to bed at night, you're going to get up in the morning, you're going to sit down, and when you're laying in bed, it comes on, or in the morning it comes on, or when you're sitting down. So obviously these feelings are in us. So wherever you're going, you practice kind of sitting down, and it's not easy, but not fighting the emotions. So in one sense, when you're taking action, you could say that you are fighting the emotions, but you're fighting them in the sense of you're not trying to get rid of the emotions, but you're not letting the emotions stop you from living your life. Does that make sense? That's one practice that works, and it's obviously in the long run. They're not quick fixes. And the second one, or the first one, is when you're sitting down and you're not at the gym, or you're not talking to friends or family, you kind of you finished your day, you're at home, is to just let those feelings and emotions be there without trying to get rid of them quick, and without trying to get rid of negative or intrusive thoughts, because all those things will just make it worse and stronger. And what you're teaching yourself is, you're teaching your brain and yourself that you can't handle you basically can't handle stress. And this is something that has blown my mind lately, because I know this is a long time ago, but when I was a young boy, when I was experiencing anxiety, and I believe now looking back, it was definitely OCD as well that I was experiencing, but I wasn't diagnosed then. I didn't know. I might talk about that at some point. I will on this channel, right? But basically, I was experiencing terrible fear, anxiety, especially whenever I got bullied, and even in my childhood I did. And whenever I got triggered or frightened as a young boy, I go back to a traumatic experience, memory, which happened several times, where I was in my bedroom, I was at home, and I'd been triggered, and I was on my own in the room. I think, my dad was downstairs or at work, or my mum was downstairs, and eventually would tell my mum. But there were periods where I was petrified, or, when I had to go to bed, I was on my own. I was struggling really bad with loneliness and terrifying fear and awful feelings of dread and depression, and a dark feeling of of being just like feeling that I'm going to be stuck in that place forever. I was terrified as a young boy, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought, this is not normal. I shouldn't have this, and I'm to blame. I should be able to get rid of this feeling and get myself feeling like loved again, feeling good again, because obviously I was comparing this uncomfortable experience of anxiety, OCD, bad emotions, guilt, shame, confusion, stress. I was comparing this state to how I felt when I felt very good as a kid, and I liked feeling good as a kid, probably like most of you growing up. I was addicted to that feeling of feeling happy, safe, joyous, and it's human nature. So I didn't know that this was a part of life, that was actually, although it didn't feel normal, it's not pleasant, but it's a normal part of the human experience at times. But it wasn't easy as a child, and I didn't know how to communicate that, and to say to, I didn't know how to explain that properly, although I would have said to my mum, would have consoled me and helped me a lot, and my nan and stuff. I would have said that I'm not feeling good, but I didn't really know how to explain what I was dealing with. It was intense, and there was a lot of things that I was battling with. But yeah, most people just say, well, that was anxiety that you experienced, and it was anxiety, definitely, but it was extremely distressing. And even sometimes when the anxiety would calm down, eventually I would experience unbearable, awful emotions, and I didn't know that those are a lot of shame. I'd be quite ashamed, a lot of shameful emotions, and a lot of sort of feelings of like self-disgust. So a lot of judging myself and feeling awful and ashamed and lonely. So I didn't know back then that it wasn't bad, and I wasn't a bad person for feeling. I didn't know that I just didn't have a good tolerance to being able to say, look, this is going to pass. It doesn't represent me or anyone as a person, and everyone gets this, but I've just got to learn to get stronger at dealing with it. So of course, as a young kid, you're not going to know these things unless, I didn't have a therapist I didn't get a therapist when I was younger. I didn't really speak about these things, probably only to my mum, right? And my mum would always help me a lot, or my nan, or friends, but I weren't good at talking about these things. I was too frightened to open up about it. I thought people would be judgmental, they wouldn't understand. And I thought it might sort of upset people, or it might make things worse. So I just sort of prayed and hoped that it would go away, and eventually it always did. But like I said, now I know what I know now. I would have had obviously a different approach. But that also continued to happen to me, not just as a young boy, but in my young adult life. And I was in the same place again. I felt like I shouldn't be feeling negative or uncomfortable emotions. I should feel good all the time. And I didn't realize that that's, could almost laugh at that now. That's not realistic. So I'm not saying, and the therapies are not saying that you make yourself feel terrible. No, obviously not. And it's not saying that you don't try and find happiness or find joy because of course we all want that, and we've all experienced that hopefully at times. I've been fortunate many. But what we're saying is we're not judging negative emotions or OCD or intrusive thoughts or an anxiety attack or social anxiety. We're learning to tolerate it. And in learning to tolerate it, we're getting stronger, and we're not falling victim to emotions. Because as I said, today, you can feel great. I can feel great today. I can wake up for no apparent reason, feel happy emotions, not have much anxiety, or have a sort of clear mind, not many thoughts, and just feel amazing and just feel like, wow, this is the best feeling in the world. But as all of you know, and within an hour, I could get triggered, or maybe the whole day is good. The next day can wake up feeling terrible, awful. What do you do then? That's when you practice what I'm talking about today, and a huge part of my teaching, and some of it that I wasn't qualified on, that I'm learning from therapy and other people online that know more about this area in areas than I do, which is why I'm fortunate to learn. I'm grateful to learn from them. I'm very grateful because the more I can help me, the more I can help more people. We can help one another anyway. What difference does it make if you learn a bit from me, a bit from yourself, from your therapist, others? As long as you get, you improve your life and get better. Or for people, obviously, it's fine if they just stick to one person that's working for them. It's your choice. But yeah, I didn't realise that when I was younger and throughout some of my young life, that I was making my anxiety worse, making my OCD worse by feeding it, by trying to not accept it and get rid of it and feel that and tell myself that I can't handle it, by creating that belief system. And that's another common thing I've read in my notes. And this is not just with people that have got anxiety and OCD, but probably they're a little bit more extreme with it, and I am. But people in general, and I've seen this, and I just want to make a point and say I'm not generalizing or stereotyping anyone, because I know today people are very sensitive about that. I'm a sufferer too, but I don't make myself under a label. OCD or anxiety is not an identity. It's a mental health problem that we can overcome or improve through therapy, through practice. So throughout the years of mentoring people on how to face their fears and build confidence, I have worked with people that don't have, quote unquote OCD or social anxiety, but they do have fears in their life. They are afraid to fail. They are afraid to do new things, like we all are, and I've helped them to do it. So I want to make a point of saying, so people know that you're not any different to anyone else. You may have a certain mental health condition that makes you suffer more, and I'm compassionate about that. I can relate to that. But you're not different in that we're all human, and we've all got feelings, and we've all got emotions, and we all want to be happy. We all don't particularly like feeling scared or uncertain. And that's the big thing, what come from this. The fears and the anxieties that really troubled me, the root cause underneath all those fears as a kid growing up and as an adult, and even still now in my life at times, for sure, the root cause was uncertainty, death, worrying about what will happen, what if something bad happens, or, not knowing what's going to happen, scared the life out of me. And for all people who have anxiety, that is sort of the root cause. And then, the obsession with not wanting to die, being scared of death, and then wondering what happens when I die. Will I go to heaven? Will I not? Is there a heaven? Is there a God? I know these things are deep, but all these things connect with what we're talking about today. And it may not appear that way. It may start off, like I said, where people feel like if they don't, which is good anyway, it's good to clean your apartment, but I've been there. It's like, if I don't clean my apartment, then something bad's going to happen to me, or it will create bad luck. And then you worry about something happening to a loved one. So I've been through all these fears and patterns, and I find identical parallels with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, which is a mental health problem that I have and many people do on this channel. I'm not saying all. I've found identical patterns with someone who doesn't have OCD, but they're human. They have a human mind, and they have fears and anxieties, and they have worries, and they have addictions and certain compulsive behaviors that they're doing, whether they realize it or not. And it's all an attempt to gain some control, to get some certainty or a feeling of certainty and a feeling of safety. So I find this whole education part of it fascinating, really fascinating, because when you don't know something, you don't know it, and sometimes not knowing something can really frighten you, a lack of knowledge. And also not knowing what's going on kind of leaves you in the dark, where you don't know how to fix the problem or how to accept it or how to get to the bottom of it and find the best strategy possible. And today we're not really talking about it's not necessarily fixing the problem, because in a sense, when we think about, let's say for example, so I've got my charger here, right? I go through a lot of these chargers every year. They break a lot. We always need chargers. So if my charger breaks, then I can't charge my phone, and that becomes a problem. So immediately I want to fix this problem. Now, either I go to the shop and they repair the charger, usually they can't, or if it's too expensive, I just buy a new one. It's easier, right? That fixes the problem. So this one breaks, I go to the store, I buy a new one, or a friend borrows me a charger. That fixes the problem. Now I can charge my phone. But when we're talking about uncertainty, you can't fix uncertainty in the way that you can fix, a material item like a charger breaking, or if your TV breaks down. It doesn't work in that way. It's different. But with uncertainty, none of us can get 100% certainty, and that can be really disappointing, even for me saying that, but we can't. So we have to learn to accept that, and that probably is a lifetime practice, and that's what we're talking about today. You can't get 100% certainty. No one can give you that. My therapist can't give you that. I can't give any of you that. Now, I know I will excuse the fact that because I'm a person of faith and I respect people's faith, but people might feel like they can get that with that. But even with that, faith it's not really based on the certainty in the ways that humans want it. It's based on faith. We'll find out when we die. And obviously everyone has got their own experiences that they may have had when they were alive. I've had some experiences, but they're my own. I'm not going to push them on people unless you ask me. But nonetheless, we don't have certainty when we're living. That's what scares all of us. That's what scares me at times. It really is frightening. But if you're in a different headspace, it doesn't frighten you. Why not? Well, because you are not fighting against it. You are in an acceptance place. You are present. So right now, how I feel now, I don't feel afraid of uncertainty right now, because I'm present. I'm doing what I enjoy, what I love, which is helping people, encouraging people, motivating people, helping people with confidence, helping people to talk about their fears, and getting people to practice more discipline, going to the gym, socializing, the simple things that make a big difference in life, I believe. But when I'm not in these spaces, like all of you, if I'm having in the night, I can't sleep, or in the morning, or any sort of time of the day, if I get triggered and I'm scared, I can get very frightened, like everyone can. I'm a human being, and I can start thinking, oh my goodness, like what's going to happen, or start getting into what happens in the meaning of life and stuff like that, or are things going to work out for me or for all of you or for friends or my family in the next 10 years? What's going to happen around the world? And we don't have those answers. I don't have those answers. And the more you try to get those answers, the worse you make your anxiety. Where if you just say, well, that's something that I don't have the answer to, but let's focus on things that I can change or have the answers to. So it's almost like trying to fix your bad emotions often makes it worse, and I'll explain why. Again, they talk about relief in OCD, why that don't work, and why I was addicted to that my whole life. Still now, we all are, until we get better at it and we recognize it. So there isn't any judging or comparing, just making a point. So relief, so okay, and we all do that. I mean, I could do that now. It's like, okay, I'm not feeling good right now, or I'm feeling good, but I need something else. I'm feeling uncertain, or something's worrying me, or I'm judging myself for mistakes I've made in the past, or I'm feeling guilty about negative thoughts that I have, or I'm upset about what someone's done, or I'm comparing myself, whatever, all these things. And then it's like, I don't feel good about that now. It's triggered bad emotions. Oh, I want to eat some chocolate. Some chocolate would give me some relief, or I need a fizzy drink, or I need to have like lots of coffees, or I need to distract myself, or I need reassurance from a friend or from a mentor. I need someone to tell me, that they love me and things are going to be okay, or I need to, whatever. I need to eat some food to get me out of feeling this way. I need some certainty. I need some reassurance or relief. Now, the problem with that is, and I know that pattern very well myself. I mean, I can eat a hamburger right now for some relief. The problem with that is short-lived. When you get that relief, it's like it's a drug, basically. So you get the relief. Oh, I feel a bit better now. I've gotten away from my intrusive thoughts, or OCD, or shame, or pain, or worry, or boredom, or loneliness, or whatever you're trying to get away from. You feel good maybe for half an hour, maybe a bit more, and then it comes back again. Then you're feeling bad again. Then you need more relief. And the more relief you get, the more relief you need. And the more relief you start to get to manage all these anxieties and emotional disturbances, the weaker you get over time. And it's almost like the anxiety is very smart, and the OCD, it's got its own awareness. It preys and feeds on your weakness and your need to get rid of it. So it's a bit like at school when I was younger. I hope that none of you experienced it, but the reality is probably all of you have. Bullying. Bullying was really strong in my school growing up. Even bullies got bullied, but I got bullied badly, and I hated getting bullied. It terrified me. I felt so much anxiety and shame and self-disgust and unbearable uncertainty when I got bullied. And at the time, I tried to do what I could to please the bully, to get relief so he wouldn't continue, or she. I got bullied sometimes by guys and girls, or groups, or individual bullies, mostly guys, but it could sometimes be the girls as well. So when I was getting bullied at the time, I just wanted to appease the bully, to stop those feelings from coming up in my body. But that didn't work, because the bullies preyed on that weakness and did it more, until I realized I had to stand up to them, or not give them my lunch money, not give them my power. And that was very, very uncomfortable. But when I did that, although it felt uncomfortable to stand up to a bully, it was amazing. The bullies got scared and stopped bullying me eventually, because they prey on fear. They prey on human. I'm not saying we're weak, right? But I mean, in a sense, they prey on our weaknesses. So when you're no longer afraid of bullies, stand up to them, they go away, or they back down, or they apologize, or they stop doing it, or something, would be great. So in the same way, when you're dealing with anxiety and OCD and intrusive thoughts and all these different things, sorry to get your question, how to balance a lot of time alone. I think you need a daily routine, as I said to you before, that will cover all of it. So you need to have a routine daily where you break up tasks throughout the day, and that will give you more of a balance with your time alone. So you're doing things. If you're on your own, you can still do things. Yeah. Excuse me, sorry. Oh, I'm not yawning because I'm bored. I'm actually really enjoying this talk. I'm yawning because I think I'm tired. Yeah, the journaling. I mean, I'm not 100% again, but I that really can help you. That's helped a lot of people that I know. It can help me. So I would say, yeah, try the journaling for sure. And I do think personally that I do think that you should, I know it's not easy for you, and I don't want to trigger you too much, but I do think that you should get around people. You should go to social groups, and build your confidence up, and because it would improve your relationship with yourself, so that you're not on your own all the time. If that was what your question was. So back to what I was saying. Looking for the quick fix is not the solution for pretty much all of the anxieties and problems in life. I mean, you could apply that for anything. Even in relationships, anything. Because I suppose it always comes back to us and how we feel. But yeah, some of you may be wondering, and I was, over time, of course, it's not going to last forever. Like, it's not like you're saying you're going to have bad emotions for the rest of your life, and all you're meant to do is build up mental toughness and a tolerance and just live in constant pain. It's like, no, that's not what happens eventually. Eventually, actually, you will get to feeling good again, a good place, but you won't rely on that solely. You will be able to live with whatever emotions you've got. You'll be able to get things done and thrive in life. I think that's the distinction I was trying to explain and teach there and make. That we're not saying that you don't, work on your self. Sorry. Oh, I've never yawned so much on a live stream, but I've been enjoying it. Even yawning, you see, building a tolerance to keep going when you're tired. I don't feel that tired in my body. So it's basically building these tools, and these are the tools that I didn't have growing up. I still didn't have as an adult, that I had to learn. And a lot of people don't, because they're not aware of it. And a lot of people are under the belief or the pretense that they shouldn't be feeling bad, that they should be feeling good, when you shouldn't believe that you should be feeling good, because if that was the case, then everyone would feel that way, and everyone doesn't all the time. It's not permanent. We don't always feel good, and we don't always feel negative. Again, I know there's periods where I've been through it, where you can be going through depression and you're feeling bad every day, because my heart does go out to people that go through that, and I'm kind of going through some of that right now, but I have the tools and the understanding to deal with it better. And that's because, you're grieving or dealing with something major in your life, a loss, a breakup, which is understandable. Eventually, you will come out of it. But I'm just talking in general, throughout the whole course of our life, of all the things that we go through. And it's very good to have these skills, because if you don't have these skills, at some point, you're going to come unstuck. And no matter how much positivity people have, or not, no matter how much money people generate, or wealth, or material things, or even good mental health, which is great, which I want to help more people to achieve, at some point, life's going to present challenges. You're going to have some bad emotions. Something's going to happen. You're going to get bad thoughts, or someone else is going to be struggling that you care about. It's going to affect you, and this is where learning those skills really does come in really, really valuable. But it is hard, because it goes against logic. It's like, when you're feeling ashamed, it's not easy. When you've got that emotion, that's a very strong emotion. It's uncomfortable. It's unpleasant for sure. It's not nice. I don't like it. But if you're feeling ashamed, and I know, I'm sorry this sounds a bit deep, but it's true. When I help people from my experience, when people are feeling ashamed, they generally avoid people. They don't want to be around other people, and I've been through that too, but that's actually makes it worse. The better thing to do is to get around people and to work through it, to accept that it's there and it will pass, or you don't care if it doesn't go. It will eventually definitely go, of course. And that's how you get stronger, you know, because that's a big part of fear. Sometimes people go, I want to start the gym, and then you say, or I'd like to, but I can't do it right now. And say, well, why not? Now would be the best time. If you're overweight right now and you want to lose some weight and you're feeling depressed, or gym's something that you enjoy doing anyway. So amongst all those things, you enjoy the gym, maybe that you come from a background of training in your life, that you've been out the gym for a long time, you're going through depression, you're going through anxiety, and you're feeling very ashamed at the moment, and you've got really awful emotions in your body. They're quite strong, they're staying there. It would be better to go gym for the most part, because going to the gym would build more of a tolerance and you start to accept yourself more. And then you're not letting shame defeat you, because shame can become a bully. Because many other people, like if you've got a good friend or someone you love, if they said to you, I'm feeling ashamed of myself at the moment, I'm not feeling good for whatever reason, I failed in my life, or mistakes that I've made in my life, or I'm ashamed, my anxiety or my OCD or my intrusive thoughts are making me feel ashamed, even though we know that we're not our thoughts, they're just thoughts, or intrusive thoughts can be, I'm experiencing them, they can be debilitating, but they're not us, they're just intrusive thoughts. So a friend would be like, you know, what does a friend basically say? I don't see you that way, I still love you as a friend, and don't be ashamed, or they'd understand you or connect with you, reason and say, yeah, I've had shame too in my life. Like, let's not let that stop us. They basically encourage you to not put yourself down and to keep living. But a lot of the times we don't do that for ourselves, because we feel so ashamed and we're so frightened of our shame. We're frightened of the emotions, of the feelings and how it makes us feel and what we think it says about us as a person, which usually it doesn't represent who we are intrinsically as a human being, our worth. It's just things that we're going through as part of being human. We all go for it. You can't say, well, I don't have any shame, or I shouldn't. It's like, well, you're not human then. Because part of being human, part of the human journey is experiencing shame. And there was a time in my life where I didn't like to admit it either. Even if someone else admitted it, I'd be like, I don't have shame. I'm not ashamed. Now, it's good. It's good if people say they're not ashamed of who they are and they're proud of the person they are, and that's good. That's a good place to be at. But if in the context of what we're saying, when you are feeling that, lying about it is not going to help you to overcome it, or feeling that you can't continue living your life. And it can be a positive thing. If you're working on your shame, then that means you're becoming a better person. You're not letting it hold you back. You're helping others. Because growing up, especially when I started teaching, if I just shared all the good bits about me, which I could have done, and maybe I'd done some at the start, even though I don't think I did, it may help people, but it wouldn't help people as much who are dealing with deep shame. If I didn't be honest and say, this is how I feel anyway, if I didn't say, man, I've had the same as you and I'm still dealing with some of it, but I've chosen to not let it stop me living my life and to keep moving forward. But yeah, I've experienced the same shame that you've got. Same, I'm not better than you, I'm not above you, or I'm not any less ashamed than you are, but I've been able to not let it hold me back in my life. Or maybe I did at the start. So I can help you by relating to you, and you know that you're not on your own and that no one's better than anyone. I know that we don't live in a world that thinks like that. I know that to be true. So moving forward, despite what you're feeling, is real strength. And all the other emotions, anxiety, loneliness, it may be guilt, you might not be feeling shame, but they're all part and parcel of really the same thing. Negative emotions usually always do come from shame or guilt or frustration or feeling not good enough. And we all go through those stages, where, me included, where we don't feel good enough, where we doubt whether we're good enough, where we question ourselves. It's part of being human. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but it's learning how to respond to that, learning how to be stronger. And that comes back to what I was saying at the start and during this live stream, which is moving forward. It's a behavioral practice, a lot of it. It is behavior, especially the action part. So, there's, like I said, And that's, I've also realized different ways of saying it, but it's discipline. Like the stuff that my therapist has sent me, which has been a game changer. Some of the body of work which has been for OCD, but this is actually principles for life, and even a reminder of things that I've taught. I have to be reminded, because even sometimes, I don't know if any of you, if you're teachers, sometimes for teachers, we're very good at teaching other people what to do and the right strategy, and some of it is our own teaching. It might be a collective teaching that has been around for a long time that all human beings have come to, which is brilliant. Either way, we can be great at that, and I know I can be really great at that, but when it comes to applying it ourselves, we can really struggle at that. Why can we struggle? Because of our own shame, because of our own anxieties, or our own unwillingness to want to put ourselves through that discomfort again and again that we've been through in our life, and the discomfort that we help our clients to work through to get to improve their life. Does that make sense? So it's the practice of discipline. And believe me, again, I'm not saying this to be big head or anything, to really want to help all of you. Man, you can do it, because for the last 2 years, especially the last 6 months, the things that I've, the emotions, the unbearable emotions and shame and pain and anxiety that I've had to live with and go and run with has been unbearable at times. But I feel so grateful that I'm on this journey, and it's given me more strength to give to all of you and say, man, if I can do it, any of you can do it. I would argue, but I could be wrong. I would argue that I mean, we're not going to know for sure, and it doesn't really matter, but just to stress a point, I would argue that I might be more sensitive than all of you. I might have more anxiety, more shame, but again, it's not a competition. So I'm basically saying, if I can do it, you can do it. If I can go and run and get to the gym and continue to run my business and socialize under the pressure that I'm dealing with and the pressures that all of you are dealing with, then so can you. You can do it. That's where daily discipline comes in, and gratitude, and the simple things that are really, really meaningful, especially in these times. So tolerance to uncertainty. How do you build it? You build it by facing the uncomfortable emotions. And that doesn't always mean, it doesn't always mean trying to get rid of them, because most of the time, I'm not saying all, but most of the time, if you try to aggressively get rid of anxiety, what happens? It makes it worse. The same thing I heard the other day, and we've all said this in our own minds, we've understood at some point. Insomnia, struggling to get to sleep. If you try to force yourself to sleep, what happens? It always happens. You can't sleep. It makes it worse. You can't get to sleep. We've tried that. You force yourself. You're like, I've got work tomorrow. In 6 hours I've got to get up, or I've got to do things, or you have anxiety. I don't want to be up till early hours in the morning, or I don't want to have bad sleep. It's going to affect me the next day. The more and more you try to force yourself to get to sleep, the more you can't get to sleep. But if you do the opposite and say, look, it does suck, because it is annoying when you can't, especially when you've got work the next day, or you've got to do things the next day, or you're trying to have a positive routine. If you just say, look, it sucks, but I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to accept that I might not be able to get to sleep, and it's not like my life's not going to be over if I have like an hour or two, and the next day maybe just have to struggle, get a coffee, or not get a coffee maybe, and then get a sleeping routine. And then what happens? When you really stop trying to force yourself to get to sleep and accept it, maybe read a book, or sometimes everyone's different, they turn all the lights off, they close their phone and try to breathe, meditate, or pray. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. What happens is people fall asleep. I fall asleep because you didn't try to force yourself to get to sleep. And it's exactly the same principle of what we're talking about today with any anxiety or trying to get rid of intrusive thoughts or intrusive emotions or fears or shame. it generally tends to not work in this way, and it is counterintuitive to what you think would work as a human being. If you've got something bad, or it's not bad but you perceive it as bad, or let's say you've got bad thoughts, they're just thoughts but you don't like them, they're not, if they're intrusive thoughts, they're not voluntary. Intrusive thoughts are not thoughts that we create on our own. We don't like them, we don't want them, and we're not going to act on them, and they go against our values, but we can't stop them if you've got OCD. So trying to get rid of them don't work. We've tried that. It makes them worse. So not trying to get rid of the thoughts, it doesn't mean that you're agreeing with the thoughts, but continuing on and accepting that they're there, the thoughts eventually go away because you're not trying to get rid of them, and you've built the strength and the tolerance to be able to live beside them, even though you don't like them and I don't like them, and they're not nice, they're not pleasant, they don't make you feel good. Also the emotions, thoughts create emotions. So not trying to get rid of negative thoughts, not trying to get rid of negative emotions, actually gets rid of them. It has the reverse effect. But the teaching, in most people's understanding, is counterintuitive to what they think would work, which is in reverse, which is not by force, but by acceptance, letting go and surrendering. But as I said, it can get a bit confusing sometimes, even for me, because obviously, like for example, I say, and it does work, obviously, if you wake up and you're feeling down and you're feeling depressed, if you go for a run for an hour, the run can definitely make you feel better, and that's a good thing, right? But I'm just making people aware of the danger of being too addicted to feeling good and too afraid of not being able to cope when you're feeling uncertainty, negative emotions, or anxiety, or shame, or pain, and how that can work against you because you are not learning to build more discipline, more of a tolerance, more desensitization to different negative emotional states, if that makes sense. So it's good to have two different tools. As I said, yes, if you're feeling down and by running makes you feel better, then of course go for a run, but be careful that that doesn't become an addiction and an escape to get away from your intolerance to uncertainty, because that can sort of work. It can kind of work for you but against you. So I hope that makes sense what I'm trying to explain. I might have to do a separate video and break these two down. So yes, so what I'm trying to say is, if you want to commit to running, you really want to go running whether you feel good or not. And I know within running, because it works for me, running can be great therapy for people that are not feeling good to go and get that release, which is fine. But it's good to understand all the things I'm trying to explain today. So if you're going to commit to starting a business, then you want to practice doing business. Obviously, when you feel good, it's easy to do it. But you really want to be doing the same on days where you don't feel good. And everyone who runs a business knows that, has to learn that at some point. We don't always feel like it, even when we enjoy it. I don't always feel like running my business. It's because it is stressful and it's uncertain, and it can trigger all the emotions that we've spoken about. But if you don't run the business, then you don't learn. It doesn't grow. You can't obviously continue to function and help people and do your job. Also, like I said, the same principle for socializing. If people are lonely and down, I always say go and meet up with a friend if you can do that. I know it's not, sometimes people are not always available, or go to a meetup group, come to one of my groups. I've actually got a group today. Some of you could still make it if you've got time. It's a bit short notice, it's at 1. If any of you want to come, let me know quickly. I'll give you the address. If you go and socialize and you're not feeling good, that can make you feel better. But like I said, the danger is is feeling that you can only socialize if you're going to feel good. That's not good, because there's going to be times where you're not going to feel good, even when you're around people that you love and they're not going to feel good because you're going through things. But the practice is to still be able to socialize and sit with uncertainty. That's a good point. And to be able to sit with uncertainty and grow more strength, that has a lot of value in it, if that makes sense. I'm going to do a lot more videos on this. I realise how important this is. And that's really what I've been practicing now and sharing for the last, I would say at least the last year, but maybe 2. I've been exercising and putting out a lot of stuff to inspire people. And I'm also going through my own challenges in my life, to show people that they can move forward despite feeling fear. That's basically what we're breaking it down to today. So let's say someone says, for example, I'm not going to go to the gym until I don't feel fearful. So when my fear goes away and I feel peaceful and calm, then I'm going to go to the gym and work out. That can be very, very dangerous, because you could be waiting for years then. And by saying that, what you're telling yourself and teaching yourself is that I can't manage any fear in my life. I have to feel perfect all the time. It's dangerous. It's almost impossible. But if you said, actually, I'm scared, I've got anxiety in my life, worries, and I'm afraid of going to the gym, but I'm going to face it. I'm going to do exposure therapy, and I'm going to practice what Jonathan's saying today, building a tolerance to all these emotions of fear. So I'm going to go to the gym, take the fear with me. The fear's in my body. I'm going to communicate with people when I need to, do the best I can, be polite, communicate at the gym, reception, at some point, how you doing? People smile, they talk to you, or you say excuse me, or someone's working out, are you busy, blah blah blah. So I'm going to do all that, irrespective of the fear that I'm going to have in my body, the social anxiety. That's how you're going to get stronger. If you do that regularly, you're going to get stronger and stronger, and eventually it won't make a difference anyway. Whether you're feeling great that day, you can communicate and go gym, or if you're feeling fearful. And that's what I've been practicing for now for quite a few years, but especially in the last year and a half that I've been going through these challenges that I've been facing. So that's another explanation in how you can do it. And it goes for anything practical, really, cleaning your apartment, all things, basically moving forward in life, taking action whilst you're experiencing life challenges and the fears and the emotions that come with that. All the fears that we deal with that are usually financial, health, relationships, and mental health. Those 4 categories will be triggering all sorts of shame, anxiety, uncertainty, loneliness, confusion, all the guilt. It could be just one, etc. And getting present, that is really the answer to most of these problems, if not all. And that's a practice too, where that happens naturally. Obviously you can voluntarily practice it, but I find with most people, myself included, if you force yourself to get present, the opposite happens generally. Everyone's different, but everyone's the same in a sense, depending on how much experience you got. But if you try to force yourself to be present, usually that creates more frustration, more resistance, more anxiety, more judgment on yourself, and then you can't do it, like forcing yourself to get to sleep. Whereas if you are aiming to be more present in your life, and your attitude towards being more present is more healthier, that comes naturally anyway. And you get more present, especially when you're facing terrifying fears that are terrifying for you, like public speaking or job interviews or whatever, live streams, whatever is fear inducing or anxiety triggering to you. I've said this before, but it needs to be, when I was just scared of boxing, I couldn't do the sparring for a long time because I couldn't tolerate the negative emotions that it triggered. It brought up all my childhood fears. The same things came up, different situation, and I couldn't handle it at the time. I told myself that. So when I felt that, I avoided it. Or when I first did sparring, I just, fight or flight, I froze up. I couldn't fight. I just froze on the spot, and then they stopped it. But over time, I got better at it. I got more tolerant because I forced myself, and the help they gave me was brilliant. The mentors and the boxing coaches and some friends in the gym. I slowly practiced getting in the ring, doing some light body sparring, head sparring, until I could do full contact sparring, the hard stuff. And through doing it week in, week out, although it still scared me and it would still scare me now, I built a stronger tolerance. And that's the point today. It's not really about saying fully getting rid of fear, because we can't fully do that, or fully getting rid of anxiety, because you can't do that forever. You can do that in periods. You can get rid of anxiety and fear. You can't fully get rid of these things forever. But you can learn to tolerate them and thrive and live in those places. And that's the teaching today. That's what I learned. Like I said, it's kind of crazy how some of the homework my therapist has sent me, although it's a different area of life, it's a very similar practice. Learning to handle the stress of OCD, intrusive thoughts, whilst living that practice, although that's a lot of it is mental and emotional, a lot of it is very similar, if not the same, to the practice that when I was doing years ago of going in the boxing ring and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and being able to thrive in that situation and box and perform and get more stronger. I would say, more confident, more relaxed with being afraid and in emotional turmoil at times. It's not always like that, as I said. There are waves in all these things, of course, we know that. So there are times where you're heightened levels of anxiety and distress, then it may come down. It will come down eventually, or it might be up and down, or it might be high for a lot of the time. So it's learning to get used to those feelings and staying that for certain periods of time. And over time, what once frightened you and made it feel almost impossible and unbearable to tolerate, it'll be easy for you. And that is because you built tolerance, you put practice in. And that's what sometimes, I mean as well, when everyone does at some point, people compare themselves and say, well, how can they do public speaking and I can't? How comes they're so relaxed? How comes they don't get nervous? Or, how comes they're not worried about what people are thinking about them? Why am I so anxious? Why would I get so emotionally distressed in that situation? And the answer to your question is because they've practiced more than you, because they've built up the tolerance, they've got experience, and you haven't right now. So it's not that they're not a better person than you, but they may be better at doing public speaking than you are right now. You could get the same as them or even more. But we're not comparing, we're making a point here, because they put the time and the effort and the practice in. But they weren't like that at the start. They were like how you were. They were scared to death. They were sensitive. They physically sometimes couldn't do it. That's a good question. I could say I could agree to that. What you said. But yeah, I could agree with that. That society, too much distractions, lead people to have anxiety. I think that's true, but I don't think that's kind of. I don't think that's an excuse, though, if I'm being honest with you, because I think we've got the responsibility, and I'm doing it, my clients are, and I'm hoping that more people are doing it. But I do think that is a contributing factor. I do agree with you on that. if I can understand the context of what you said, but yeah, I do think it does contribute, but I don't think that's all of the reasons why people have got anxiety. But I think that could be a big part of it. I think a lot of it, as I've said today, is a lot of anxiety is hereditary, and that is part of being human. But obviously, for those of us that may have unhealthy amounts, trauma, the traumas that we go through. But we're talking today about the solution, not the problem. And the solution is because a lot of people have not learned how to build a tolerance to anxiety, to the things we're talking about today. No, I'm not a doctor, thanks. I'm a mentor, but I've mentored quite a lot of doctors over the years, and I've been to the doctors. But no, I appreciate you asking that. One of my clients is a doctor, though. He's qualified. He's changed career now. He's coaching people. So it's building that tolerance, and you do that over time. And it's not easy, though. I'm not gonna lie. It's not easy to build a tolerance to fear, anxiety, shame, intrusive thoughts, negative thoughts, anxiety attacks, and that's why everyone should get help and support. And even me as a mentor, as I said, I have a therapist. I need support because I'm human, and I don't know anyone. I haven't met anyone yet who can do everything on their own. A mentor of what? A mentor of discipline, confidence, routine, and teaching people how to confront their fears. That's the area that I really specialize in. And then there's a combination of areas, career, health, relationships, communication, public speaking. That kind of gives you an idea of what I do. And there's a few more things in it, but mostly that's it. I hope that explains it and you understand, Parker. So, the battery's low now. It's been a great stream. We're going to end soon. I would have gone on a little bit longer. I've got an event at 1, but the battery is just getting quicker on this thing. But at least we've done a lot of time. I will be doing another live stream. The shame part for me, I told myself to accept the part that I gained a lot of weight, but in actual, I don't fully accept it, so I show up in real life. Yeah, that like you said, it's being kind, but like you said, and we've all done that. So I don't want to make you feel worse on yourself. Well done for the honesty. That's sometimes where, again, it's not accepting. You're saying that you're accepting, but as you said, really you don't accept it. So that would be the next thing for you on your journey to practice, actually learning to accept it. And I don't know, maybe for you the best thing would be to lose some weight, to go to the gym, because sometimes we need to make progress. It's not enough sometimes just to say I accept myself, when really we don't. I've done that. We've all done it, right? So don't beat yourself up anymore. We've all done it. We're human. We're not perfect, but it might need more of a behavioral practice that you need to fully accept what you are saying that you do. But it's a good starting point. I think it's like when people say, I am a positive person, and it's like, that's great, but if that's not true, then that's not going to work for you long term. Maybe it's better to say, I want to be a positive person and I will get there, but at the moment I am quite a negative person. I think that's better because you're being honest and you're not putting yourself down, but you're being, and then you're going to work towards becoming positive. And because if you lie, as you know, again, the anxiety, it feeds a lot on the lies that we tell ourselves, And I'm not saying that we don't do it out of badness. We're human. We're struggling. We're trying to overcome these challenges. But I found in my own journey that those things don't work. It's like when people say, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm like, well, if that's true, that's amazing. But that ain't true. And if you're lying to yourself, then you're not going to help yourself by doing that. It would be like me saying, and I could say, well, I don't have any fear. I'm a teacher. I teach other people how to overcome their fears. I've faced loads of fears in my life, which I have. This is true. And therefore I don't have any, but that's not true. I am afraid. I do have fears. I have fears every day. But I've learned to manage them better. And as a result, my life has got better and I've been able to help people as well. So that's the truth. But I could say, well, I'd like to get even better at being less fearful and being more relaxed, yeah, more present. So that's where I'm at. So the same as you, my friend. But if we tell lies, then we're gonna, there's going to be consequences for those lies that you tell yourself, and they're not probably going to be helpful. But that might be. It's usually what we got to go through. But obviously, it's all a journey, and we are vulnerable. We are human. We're not perfect in every area, probably no area, but we are great. We can achieve a lot and improve a lot. And I've done it. Many of you have done it. Many of my people all around the world have done it, so that you can make massive progress. I wouldn't be here telling you this if I didn't not just believe, no, that you couldn't, that you can. So yeah, with a lot of practice, you can make a lot of progress. That's probably a little affirmation that we could end on. With lots of practice, you make lots of progress, and progress is really, really what people need, more than reassurance, which I'm learning. Although we all are going to seek a healthy amount, but we need to cut that down. Cutting down the reassurance from other people, or the rituals that we do, or the compulsions or addictions, and gaining strength, which is different to reassurance. It's actually the opposite. It's where you don't need as much reassurance. But like today, if I can just give an example, I woke up this morning, I didn't feel like doing this live stream. Just didn't feel like doing it, right? Wasn't sure if I wanted to go through the what I said, the uncertainty. And I got an event today in person that I'm looking forward to. And as it's getting closer, I'm feeling excited. I'm surprised that maybe there will be some nerves. We'll see what happens. Probably there will be, most definitely. But now doing this live stream, I'm experiencing quite a lot of natural joy, a lot of connection. But I didn't expect it, because I knew that if I do that, it's probably going to not work in that way, and focus on doing my job and helping us. Hopefully I helped a lot of you, or at least in all the ways that you can help, educated, or maybe reminded you of things that you're already doing. I'm sure there's things that I've said that a lot of you have already said, that that you figured out for yourself, but hearing me say it could make you feel great that you're not the only one, or your therapist, or someone else that you watch online, or maybe something I said today that you wasn't aware of. And now you've like, oh, that makes sense. I wasn't aware of that. I have that. I'm going to work at improving that. Great. So yeah, just a few things to summarize. It's very good to have a daily routine, just keeping things simple. So you're not on your own too long. Some time with friends, exercise at the gym, um, practicing these things. But obviously, you've got to have a rest as well. I'm not saying that you don't practice, forcing yourself to face fear every minute of the day. If there's a certain time threshold, then you come away and then try and relax a bit more. But you can actually practice these things, as I said, in different areas of life, because I start to realize that, in some way it's good, in a way, or that can be challenging. You're in your own body, so wherever you go, you can practice. So you can practice this when you're going for a run, exercising. You can practice it on a live stream, anywhere really, when you're talking to people, clean your apartment, because the emotions are in you, and obviously when you do your behavioral things, we live our lives, the habits that we got, positive things, and gym, work, socializing. You're doing those practical things, but you're also working on your internal strength and externally. So like I said earlier, that analogy of doing public speaking, when you first do it, when I first did it, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, it's scary. and it's, you're embarrassed, you're nervous, you're feeling ashamed, talking in front of a group of people, and internally that it's like a volcano going off of anxiety. But with experience, the more you do it, the more confident you become, and the less ashamed you feel, embarrassed, and then you enjoy it, and then because you've got strength, and then you get lighter and lighter and lighter, or you don't mind. There might be periods where there are anxiety, there's not, but either way it doesn't matter, you're still able to do it. You're able to do a talk really well, whether you're peaceful and present, or whether you're full of adrenaline and anxiety and you're full of shame or emotions, or you're able to do it. And that's it. That is kind of that's kind of the goal of all this. The end goal is to be able to tolerate fear and anxiety and uncertainty, and live a great life, and try and be the best person you can be, and be kind to others and show up. So yeah, feelings change over time, especially when you work at them. And of course, this is all therapeutic. It's all therapy in different ways. Practical, I call it practical therapy. And then you can do actual therapy, which is what we're doing now. This is therapy. I mean, this is mentorship, but it's really therapy what I'm doing. Talking with you, getting things out, but therapy that has strategies with it. It's not just talk therapy where we just talk about our problems to get relief, because some of that can be good, but that can also be negative. It's also then developing behavioral strategies to put into practice, which are going to further your growth, progress, confidence, lessen your anxiety, and increase your tolerance to be able to handle uncomfortable emotions and fear and uncertainty. And like I said, I'm going to do a video on that. For me, it's been fascinating because I like learning. I'm still learning. I still really feel like a student. And now I've got some of the answers, the questions that I was asking when I was younger or 10 years ago. How do these people do what they do? I can't do it. I don't have the strength. And I know I know because I'm doing it. And I'm hoping all of you will do it. Or those of you that are interested in doing it, great. We're all on our own journey, so no competition. And my clients are doing it because they built up a tolerance through time. It wasn't easy. It wasn't going to be every day good. They got support, they had therapy, or they had mentors, or they read a book, and they went out and they practiced facing their fears, working through these emotions, and they learned to be more resilient, and they built that extra tool in their locker. I think what you said is quite true. I don't always force to feel good, exactly. Like use exercise or eating to feel good, and exercise as a sort of escape. That's what we're saying. That is the difference. I'm going to do a video on that because that's a great distinction that comes up in my sessions with my clients and in my therapies and with friends. And it's, how to know the difference to when you're using exercise as escapism from difficult emotions, as opposed to when you're doing exercise because you want to do it and you enjoy it. But I'd say that that doesn't have to be bad either. It's the awareness. If you go, I'm aware that I exercise to escape my OCD, intrusive thoughts, or depression, or a breakup that you go through. We go through breakups that are extremely painful, as all of you know, especially at the start. So going for a run to escape the pain of the breakup is a good thing. That's not I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. I'd say that helps you, but it's just knowing getting the balance right, that you're not solely exercising to escape every difficult emotion in your life in hope that it will go away, when in fact it won't go away like that. So you can do both. You can say, I'm going to exercise because obviously exercise is good for health anyway. And I think everyone should exercise personally, for me, but it's their choice. Or do some exercise, even if it's walking in the park. But like you said, you could use anything for an escape. People can do it on my live streams. Again, it's fine unless you learn. You can just come on and watch me talk because it makes you feel better, it makes you feel good. But then if you don't learn to practice these things in your life, and you can't solely rely on me to get all of your what you need, you've got to learn to build it. Then you would get the right balance right. But again, for people, please don't forgive yourself, don't be hard if you've been doing that, because we all go through that stage. I did it with mentors. I would listen to Les Brown every single day because he would make me feel better in my life. But eventually I had to learn to let go of the safety crutch of Les Brown and go out and live my life. And then I can come back to it now, listen to his stuff and appreciate it. And people have got to do that of mine. We've all got to learn to do these things if we want to get past these things. Almost coming to the end. I wanted to do 90 minutes. I don't know if the battery's going to hold out. Let's see if we've got any last more questions. Just to let all of you know, I do mentoring sessions. So if any of you would like to book a session, if you need that help and support, I'm here. You can book a session. You can do I say an emergency session, an hour session online, and you can talk to me about whatever you're struggling with, and I can give you some advice and some strategies and tools that you can go away with after the session and practice that are going to help you. So we're not just going to do an hour session where you're going to talk to me, feel a bit of relief, feel better, and then go away and continue back with the same pattern. I'm going to give you some homework, even if we only ever do 1 hour session. That's totally fine with me. I'm easygoing as long as it helps you. So that's there. If any of you want to apply, send me an email. I've also got longer term programs, but no one's obligated to sign up for them because I only really work with people long term that are committed and where it naturally fits for both of us. But if you're interested, you can inquire about 6 weeks mentorship program. I even do up to a year, but again, it depends. But yeah, if you want to start, probably best to start with the hour, and then you're not obligated to do any more, or you could do a pay as you go. I find that very helpful for clients, and that's also been helpful for me when I've done therapy. If I've just booked an hour and I just want to see if I like the therapy, if I can trust the person, if it works, and I can decide if I want to do more or leave it as that. So the sessions are there for any of you that are interested. And just to let you know as well, I do in-person sessions as well. But I know that a lot of people may not be able to get to me in person because I'm in London. You might be in a different country, or you might not be ready, might be a bit anxious, which I understand. But those of you who might be ready, the clients I work with at the moment, they do in-person session with me, and my other client does a lot online. It's fine either way. For me, it works. They both can work really well. So whatever you prefer, let me know. My email address is below. And if you email me, I can get a better understanding of what you're struggling with, what your goal is. I know it's going to be around this area of confidence, anxiety, courage, discipline, etc. I appreciate all of you coming on. I really enjoyed it today. It was great. I can't wait to talk about this more and more live streams coming. I knew I enjoyed it today because the time went so quick. Oh yeah, just let all of you know as well. I need to update you on the events that I'm running. I'm running a monthly event. These monthly events so far are free. I may charge for them at some point a fee because booking venues and stuff. But right now they're free, so you're welcome to come along and get support. Have a great social. I'm doing one today. They really help, believe me. I go to events myself and I see how much it helps me. And I've seen the progress that people have made from the years of the events that I've been doing. I've had a bit of a break from the events lately, so I want to get back to doing them. They're so helpful. I'd recommend any of you, even if you don't go to my event, just going to events, go on meetup.com, going to groups of people that are going through the same struggles or they've got the same hobbies. It's so good. You have a great time. Really good for your confidence. Probably one of the best confidence builders is going to events that are in person. I know online's good too, but it's not as good as in person. It's not as effective as being in a group where you're there, you're in person, you've got that connection, you can talk, connect. Very, very good. Right, we've come to an end today. Did 90 minutes, the battery's about to go. Appreciate all of you coming on. Speak to you soon. Good luck. May the journey continue.